Thanks a million for being here tonight on Halloween night. Here we are in Dublin, Ireland. If you hear bangers going off over the roof, it's because it's Halloween and there's lots of, sparklers and crackers and bangers going off. So yes, happy Halloween, everybody. So I'll make this a very snap and pop webinar to give you some good punchy data so that you can go and enjoy your Halloween night, watch a scary movie, not too scary, I don't know, and go trick-or-treating if it's not too late. Folks, before we begin, I just want to say hello to everybody on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, folks. For all of you out there, if you have any questions or comments on tonight's webinar, you can pop them into the comment section and I will keep an eye on them. I have somebody, a friend of mine, Dita, who's keeping an eye on those comments and they'll be fed around to me on Zoom. I can see everybody on Zoom. Hello to you all. And I want to ask you, first of all, where are you logging in from? Would you mind popping into the chat? Just type in where you're logging in from. I love to see where people are in the world. Sometimes everybody's from Ireland, sometimes everybody from the UK, sometimes it's a mix, sometimes they're from France, Germany, South Africa, Russia. We had some from Pakistan. We've got loads of people all over the world. So please pop into the chat. Where are you logging in from? That would be just great. Helen from Lancashire. Thank you very much, Helen. Lovely stuff. Going over to the UK on Friday. Got loads of relatives over there. Anaya, state of Wisconsin, US of A. Beautiful. All the way from over there. And it's amazing that here we are live. You're over there in America. We're here in Dublin. It's great. Great to have you. Leila from Zurich. Fantastic. Beautiful. Thank you so much. From Zurich. Yun Yang from Manchester. Thank you very much. Yun Yang. Great to have you. And Karen, you're from Brazil. Wow, we've got quite a blend of people tonight. What have we got? We've got the UK, we've got the USA, we've got Switzerland, we've got Manchester in England, we've got Brazil, and then Anushka from Bangladesh. Absolutely wonderful. Look, what a great, great crowd you all are. And thank you so much for giving me your time tonight so I can give you this information. And I'm going to make it worth your while. I promise. To give you a little bit of information about myself, my name is Vincent Kelly. I've been delivering, one-to-one workshops, group webinars, lectures. I'm a counselor. I've promoted books on self-improvement for the last 30 years. So since 1992, I got involved in the subject that I'm going to teach you about tonight, give you some basics. Doreen from Galway. Good stuff, Doreen. Thank you very much. So I got involved in 1992 in Munich in Germany. Came back to Ireland and started promoting this subject, which works. May not be the fanciest subject in the whole world. May have its own positives and negatives, but it works. And that's the key thing. I'm not interested in fancy theories if they're not practical. I like practical. I like workability. Vincent, does it work? It didn't work. Well, then it should work. That's what I want to give you tonight. Okay, folks. So without further delay, let's launch into this. Now, you'll see me referring to my notes. I've got a page here which sometimes I change at the last minute what I want to say. So I have to write notes, keep track of myself. Right. So briefly, an introduction to this, right? And why I love talking about this subject of communication. I love talking about this because it is the very first thing that I needed to handle and I needed to improve before I got involved in what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. When I was in school and then in college, I was awfully shy. I did kind of come out of myself a little bit when I was in college doing personnel management, a little bit. But some of that was helped by alcohol. Some of it was helped by partying, these kind of things. But when I was kind of on my own and having to fend for myself, I was very, very shy, very lacking in confidence in terms of dealing with people, in terms of doing anything really. Because as you know, if you're shy and you're lacking in confidence, it's going to affect you in relationships. I'm so shy in relationships, in work, not going for things that I think I should have gone for. presenting, these kind of things. I never went for any of that type of stuff. Setting goals, you know. So shyness and communication issues can be a major problem. And also not knowing how to keep the conversation going, not knowing how to make the conversation interesting, not knowing how to be a better listener and, you know, be less nervous. I was just a wreck, okay? So it did affect me in loads of different areas, and I just wasn't happy because I knew there was something wrong with me. I thought, no, Vinny, there's something wrong here. So before I tell you what the solution to this problem is, I want to find out from you what problem you're facing, because I want to design this webinar with a bunch of people here, especially on Zoom. I don't want to fill you full of information on what I think you should hear. I've got my own plan, but I want to find out what problem you have in communication. And if you don't mind popping that into the chat, that would be great. Is it shyness? Is it, you know, you can't keep a conversation going? Do you just lose your temper when you're talking, or you can't tolerate an argument? Is it that you cannot communicate with people who are above your level in your work? Can you not listen to people? Do you find that you're boring with certain people? What is your biggest problem when it comes to communication and confidence? Would you please pop that into the chat? I want to write it down so I can keep track of this and I can refer to this throughout and make sure that it's relevant for you. Okay? Great. Okay, so I've got a few coming in. Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline. Never said hello to you at the beginning. And who else is there? Vivian, Paula, JP. Thank you very much, Helen, for coming along. Much appreciated. Okay, Jacqueline, using the right words. Okay. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Fear and anxiety. Got it? Thank you. When communicating. Got the picture. Union, lack of confidence. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Yunyang. Anaya, problem with oversharing and lack of confidence. Okay, so basically, so Anaya, do you mean like you, when you say problem with oversharing, is in you share too much? Or is it that you don't want to share too much? If you could clarify that, that would be really, really good. Okay, so oversharing, lack of confidence. Okay, thank you. Nushka, stammering insecurity. Got it? Thank you very much. And I like over-explaining. I got the picture. Yeah. I kind of nervously explaining. Yeah, I know what that's about. Okay, thank you very much. Karen, nervous. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Doreen, self-belief and worry what other people think. That's a good one. Just worry about others' opinion. Thank you very much. Jacqueline, can't get the words out. Is that confidence issue? Yeah, can't get the words out. Don't worry. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Overthinking, Anushka. Overthinking and stress. Yeah. Got the picture. Thank you. Anushka, stuck on limiting beliefs and fixed mindset. Okay. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much for that. That gives me a really, really good picture of what are the main things that I should go over tonight, because I had a certain plan. Now I'm kind of going to change my plan a little bit. Paula, get distracted easily. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay, folks, thank you so much. Now I want to start off with a little line from a book that I'm going to promote to you at the end. Okay, it's called A New Slant on Life. Slant means a way of looking at life, written by L. Ron Hubbard. There's a line here on page 93, and this is going to blow your mind a little bit, maybe not a little bit. I'm going to write this down. Communication is the solvent for all things. It dissolves all things. Okay? A solvent basically means something that can dissolve something. Like, for example, water. If you put a, I don't know, one of those dishwasher tablets in water, the water will dissolve it. It basically makes it disappear. It makes it blend into the water. That's what a solvent is. It's something that dissolves. So communication dissolves all things. Now, when I got involved in this particular thing, I did a communication course based on this book here, which I'll be telling you at the end. It was the very, very first thing I needed. And the person who recommended it to me just took a look at me, said, listen, you need to do something about communication. And I said, you are 100% right. I can't communicate for the life of me. I get so stressed. I'm so nervous. I'm so shy. I just don't have the confidence to do it. So she recommended a confidence course, which was communication course. This is exactly what happened. The skills that I learned on how to just be there, get my communication across, listen to people, understand what they're saying, just multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, and has not left me since. And that's 30 years ago. I would have never done webinars, lectured in front of lots and lots and lots and lots of people, even dealt with people, certain types of people on a one-to-one basis, right? So communication is the solvent for all things. A couple of examples are, for example, if you have a problem with your boss in work, you can do whatever you want to handle it, but essentially it's going to boil down to communication. If you communicate and you continue to communicate and you listen to his or her side of the story and you continue to give yours and you listen to theirs, give and back, take, give and take, give and take, give and take, give and take, that situation will dissolve. It's the same if you have a relationship problem. You're shy with somebody, you like this guy, and you don't know how you should approach it. Well, you can communicate to him or her, listen to them, communicate back, listen to them more and more and more, and eventually that issue is going to be resolved. And maybe you find that you've really built up a really good, strong relationship, and maybe you find out that you're not the right people for each other. You don't want to say you're not on the same path in life. You don't want to play the same game. Another example is money. If you have money problems, you can sit there worrying about and stressing out about it, but you can actually communicate. You can use communication to dissolve that problem. How do you do that? Well, you can get with a friend who is very good with money to give you advice. You can communicate to your partner about the issues that you're having. You can read a book, which is communicating with the author. You can go to money advice and budgeting centers, all about communication, back and forth, back and forth. Now, there are various factors of communication. The last time I did this webinar, I did the primary focus was on the very first element, which I'm going to draw on the board. And I'm going to show you that right now. So, Vincent, it sounds fine. Communication dissolves all things. Wow, that's great. Okay, wonderful. But I can't communicate, Vincent, because let me just take some of these examples here. I'm nervous. I'm afraid. I stammer. I don't believe in myself. I can't get the words out. I get distracted. I can't even do it. So that's all very fine, but I can't do it. So I'm going to teach you now a couple of the very simple basics. Now, there's a number of things to learn about communication. I'm only going to go over a couple of the basics. I'm going to touch off the thing that I covered at my last webinar, and then I'm going to introduce, in my opinion, probably one of the most important factors of communication that will help you to get back in control. So, in communication, there are at least two people. Okay, so that's the minimum. So let's just start off with that. There are two people, person A and person B. Okay, now the first thing, so we're just going to deal with you as person A, all right, and you want to communicate with person B. The very first thing that we're going to have a look at is the fact, and I covered this at my last webinar, so I'm not going to spend too long on this, but it's you have to be there. Be there. So if you're talking to B in the kitchen, you've got to be in the kitchen. And I'm not just talking about you saying, well, I am here in the kitchen. Of course I am. Yes, but it's not the same as you being in the kitchen, but your mind off here thinking about, I don't know, holidays, going on holidays, an airplane, whatever. If you're off thinking about something else while you're talking to somebody, they are going to sense that. They are going to see that you're not really there, and it is going to come across. The first thing to know about this is that it does take a little bit of exercise. There is a practical exercise in this course. This is an online course that you can do, and you can do it with a friend or a family member. And there is an exercise that you can do. And I'll just show you to the camera. It's called TR0. Let me just see, where am I? Yeah. There. Be there. Okay? Be there. That's, let me just see, am I getting it right? Training routine 0, be there. And it's basically a practical exercise that you can do with a friend or a family member. Eyes closed, two people, eyes closed. Okay? And you can practice, you'll be sitting down, of course. And you're just practicing being there. Now, this is not the same as going out to the park and sitting on a bench and meditating. That's a different thing. Nothing wrong with meditation, but it's a different thing. This is an actual communication exercise where for a certain period of time you get somebody to work with as part of these drills, and you practice being there. Not somewhere else, not over here, not waiting for the person to finish. Oh, I can't wait till they're finished. Just being there comfortably in the room. Okay? If you learn how to do this correctly, and if you do it properly, you are going to come across quite relaxed to the other person, and it makes it easier for you to talk to them and for them to talk to you. So now I want to do a little practical exercise. I want you to think of somebody in your life who is a really good communicator. And I'm not talking about somebody who's like really like a showman on a stage. Oh, just talk. I want you to think about somebody who can communicate, but who can also listen. Okay? Just think about somebody who can communicate, but can also listen. And you don't have to put their name in the chat, but just, is it a friend or a family member or a colleague? So think of somebody in your life who can communicate well. And you will find that that person is, to a greater or lesser degree, able to just be there while they're talking to you, and be there while you are talking to them. In other words, when they're listening, they're being there. When they're talking, they're being there. So just pop an example of somebody that you know in your life that's a good communicator. And if you don't mind popping in the chat. Jacqueline, yes, I will repeat the name of the book. It's called A new slant on life. I don't know, Herbert. A new slant on life. A way of looking at life. Okay? And this one is called communication, which I'll show you these at the end anyway. Okay. Good. Jacqueline being present. Correct. Anushka, did I say solvent? Yes. Solvent is something that dissolves things, and communication dissolves problems. If you have a problem with somebody, you communicate, you're eventually going to dissolve that problem. Okay, Raquel. Hello, Raquel. A good friend. Fantastic. And you will find that that good friend can sit there and listen to you. Why? Because they're being there. And when they're talking to you, you've got their full attention. Their attention isn't half out the window or on something else or waiting for you to finish so that they can say their own thing. It's being there comfortably. Okay, Paula. My daughter, but she's a journalist, so did training in communication and tells me off for not listening. Okay. Well, fair enough. I mean, there's different courses out there in communication. We're just really, really looking at the rock bottom basics here. Okay, so be there is the number one thing to start off with. If that isn't present, there will be no communication. Well, there'll be some communication, but it's going to be problematic. If this is there, if you are being there, comfortable, able to listen to the person, not think about 400 different things at the same time or just looking out the window or whatever, you can focus and just be there, relax it, you are going to come across as a better communicator, and you are going to be much more relaxed about your communication, and you're going to be much more confident naturally. It's going to happen naturally. Okay, the next point, let me just see, something with my mother. Okay, Karen, great. So you find it easy to talk to your mother. She listens to you because she can be there. You know, she's not looking at her phone when she's talking to you. Oh, yeah, go on anyway about the kitchen. You know, she's actually listening. Have you ever spoken to somebody, you know, you're talking to somebody about your problem and they're scrolling on their phone. Yeah, go on. They're not being there. If they were being there, they'd be putting the phone down and giving you their attention. Tell me, what's the issue you're having? What's the problem? Or how'd you get on today? So be there. Now, I want to point out one thing before we move on from this. When you start to exercise just holding your own, being there. And when I mean like that, I mean holding your space. Holding your space. Just being there, just holding your space. Not feeling like you have to move or, you know, somebody's communicating to you so you have to kind of think about other things. No, you're just being there and you're communicating and you're relaxed. You're chilled. You're not worried about what people think or say. If you do this exercise, that whole worrying and daydreaming and wandering off just is gone, and you can just be there and you'll be able to hold your own. Now, before I leave this point, I want to say one other thing. You have a right. You have a right to be there. You have a right to just hold your space. Just do it. Try it the next time you're talking to somebody. Just stand in one position. Hold your space. And just be there. Doesn't matter what they're saying or doing, just practice it, just be there. Now look, again, it's a skill that can be developed. It doesn't take long to develop it, honestly. I mean, I'm just talking about a few hours of exercising this over and over maybe, and you'll get it down. You know, maybe it might take a few days, but you'll get it, and you're going to notice a big, big difference. You have a right to be there. The reason I mention this is because as soon as you start communicating, there are people who are going to try and push you around and try to get you to start thinking and shift you from your space and whatever they want to do so that you stop communicating. There are certain types of people that do not want to see you communicating. There's a chapter in this book. It's called The Antisocial Personality. And this person has 12 characteristics, and you learn how to identify such a person in the book. But there are certain types of people who don't want to see you communicating. So if you're just being there, it is going to make a massive difference in your life. A massive difference. Even if you only did this one exercise that I gave you from this booklet, how to do it, and you did that over and over and over for a week, that would make a huge difference in your life going forward, with confidence, with nervousness, with daydreaming, all these types of things. It can be drilled, and anybody can do it. You don't have to go and do a college course for 5 years to learn the basics. And what it's going to give you is your natural ability that you have anyway. You have a natural ability to do this anyway. So it's not changing anything about you. It's just restoring what you can already do that you've forgotten, perhaps, how to do. So that's the very first basic, is be there. Now, before I move on to the important part of the webinar, even though this is vital, does anybody have any questions on this particular step first? This is being there comfortably. Let me just write that down. Comfortably. I'm just going to be here and wait for your questions. I won't wait all night. If there's no questions, it's good. It's fine. If there's a question, I'll answer it. And hello, Tata Vic. Never said hello to you. Good to see you. And Georgia as well. Okie dokie. No questions coming in. Now, can I just ask you for a question? Can you see how this particular point, and if you were to exercise it well, would help with fear and anxiety, lack of confidence, nervousness, overthinking? Because what happens when you do this enough, and when you practice this enough, this thinking business goes out the window. And you don't have to be thinking. Okay? You don't have to think. You're just going to be there and observe. Okay, can I just check with everybody? Are you tracking with me so far? Can you either give me a thumbs up, a yes, or a smiley face, or anything? I just want to make sure that you're alive and that I haven't lost you, and that you're not, gone off for a cup of tea and, thinking, when is this webinar going to end? Okay, Patience, got you. Anushka, Raquel, Paula, you're still there. Is anybody else there? Georgia, gotcha. Tatovic, Karen, you have a question? Yeah, I'm going to take that up in a second. Layla, you're here. Wonderful. It's like roll call all over again. Folks, you're great. Anybody else here? Doreen, you're here. I like to ask this question. Jacqueline, gotcha. Anaya, good. Yun, fantastic. Lovely, folks. Thank you. I like to check that, because when you're doing a webinar and you can't see people, I don't know where everybody is. You could be going out the door, you could be feeding the cat. I don't know. You could have the TV on, watching the soccer. One of my friends told me, I was watching your webinar, Vincent, while I was watching the football the other week. So he had me in one ear, and he was watching the football with the other thing, anyway, with his eyes. Don't recommend it, because then you lose the data. Okay, Karen, I have a question. Doesn't communication also depend on who is listening? Yes, it is true that yes, but the thing is about this, people say, well, I can't communicate to my wife because she won't listen. She just will not listen. She's a terrible listener. Good. So if she's not willing to change that, what are you going to do about it is the thing. So the approach that I recommend to people is to improve your own communication skills, so that when you are communicating something to somebody, that it gets across to them and that you've got their attention. You see, you've got to be able to get their attention. That's up to you to a great degree. Also, yes, definitely, it does have a factor. If you're talking to somebody and you're not listening, or they're daydreaming or whatever. But if you improve your ability to be there, your ability to get your message across, your ability to capture their attention, you're going to cause them to be listening naturally. If you're daydreaming, if you're nervous, if you're overthinking, if you're in fear, that person is going to replicate that. It's going to come across on the other side as well. Yeah, Georgia, it can make it more difficult or easier who is listening. Yeah, that's true, but that's the challenge of communication. But I tell you, if you just, even just for yourself, because it doesn't work to say, well, I can't communicate because they won't listen. Or I can't listen because they're a terrible communicator. It doesn't work well, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be in charge of your life. You're the one going to be responsible for getting your communication across and for listening to what the other person is saying. And this is the start off point. Now, in this course, which I'll be recommending at the end, this is one of the first exercises that you will do, and you'll do that intensively until you get your result. You continue doing this exercise, continue doing it. You don't move on to the next exercise until you can do this 100%. If that takes you 20 hours or 3 weeks or 5 hours or 2 hours, doesn't matter, because at the end of it, the benefit is going to be you're going to be able to be there comfortably and not feel like you have to move or get nervous or get stressed out or become shy or become introverted or start thinking. Okay? You drill it as long as it takes until you get the result, and you will get the result. Just don't give up on it. Okay, Raquel, it makes me think of when you meet a very warm person who's so present, you instantly feel more comfortable and heard. Raquel, that's the point. Thank you. That's exactly the point. Yeah. If the person is there, you'll feel it and you'll want to talk. It really helps. Just by you doing that exercise and improving the skill is going to influence them. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the next bit. Okay. Now there's a number of other factors, such as how to get your communication across, how to make sure that you're understood, and so forth. So there's another factors that we're not going to be able to get everything done tonight, because there's, like, I don't want to rush everything. Like, I could just spend a whole webinar just telling you this, and then we go home. You know, everybody go home and go out and have some Halloween drinks or whatever. Okay. There are other factors. I want to give you one more factor, which is vital. Okay. So, and this has to do with listening. We're not even going to talk about talking or finding out the things to talk. I know somebody mentioned about can't get the words out or not sure what to say, over explaining. You know, that will be helped when you have this in. What I want to go over with you right now is how you can make your ability to hold your space stronger and to be there for somebody else. Okay? And this is vital. So let me get rid of some of this color, and then I'll be able to show you that. And by the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop it in the chat. I love to hear questions, and I try to answer them as much as I possibly can. I'll have the webinar open at the end as well for anybody who wants to ask any additional questions. Okay. Now, this is point number 2. Absolutely vital, and it has really, really helped me in communication. And we're going to do a little practical exercise on it in a minute. Now, I'm going to show you this. It's from the booklet. It's called TR2, Training Routine, or Training Drill, or Training Exercise 2, Acknowledgements. Okay. Now, I'm just going to write this down. Acknowledgement. I'm going to tell you what that means. Okay, acknowledgement. Very important. And I'm going to read this from the booklet. The perfect acknowledgement communicates only this. I have heard your communication. That's what an acknowledgement is. I have heard your communication. Whether I agree with it or not is a completely different story. I'm not saying I agree with it. I have heard you. I have heard what you've said. So somebody gives you a communication. So you're being there, okay? There's you. You're being there. Be there. Brilliant. You've done your exercise and you're now being there. Perfect. And somebody communicates something to you. Okay. In order to make that person feel good, in order for them to feel satisfied that they got through to you, you can be in control of that by simply giving them an appropriate I'm just going to put an ACK for short, an appropriate ACK that lands on the other side. If B gives you a communication and you acknowledge it properly and you give them the message, I have heard your communication, in however you do it, that person is going to feel good. Why? Because it's a completed communication. Okay? It's a completed communication and it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick around. It doesn't linger. It's done. So you're being there, listening to somebody. They're saying something to you. Your duty to be in control of that communication, which is going to boost your confidence up once you practice this, okay, is to give them an appropriate acknowledgement. Let them know that you have heard what they have said. And when you do that, that ends the communication. The person will feel good and they'll be able to get on with the next thing that they want to say, and they'll be more likely to listen to what you have to say. If you listen to them and let them know that you heard what they said, they'll be more likely to listen to you. So that's the appropriate acknowledgement. Now, I want to ask you a question. Please give me the answer in the chat. What happens if you don't do this? Okay? And I'm just going to ask you this question. What happens if you do not acknowledge them? Okay? You don't do anything. So the person says, I like apples. Okay? Okay, so the person says to you, I like apples. Great. And you don't say anything. You're like, no. You don't acknowledge them. What happens? Please put your answer in the chat. If somebody is talking to you and you don't acknowledge them, what happens? Let me know in the chat what you think. Okay, I'm going to read out. Just please keep your comments coming in. I'll just read them as we're going. Raquel, I think I answered your question earlier on. What if you don't agree with it? It's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions on things. I might say to you, Raquel, I like pears. You don't agree with pears. but at least you're going to let me know that you heard what I said. It's okay. We'll wrap this up in a second. Anaya leads to more problems. Georgia, a lot of things can happen, depends who it is. Paula, person will feel bad and maybe walk away. Doreen, the other person will feel like you're not hearing what they said. Very good. Anushka, people pulled away. Karen, I think the person doesn't feeling better because you ignore her. You're all 100% correct. How would you feel if you said something to somebody and you said, I had a lovely day today, and they don't say anything? They just look at you, but they don't say anything. Then you're wondering, then you start thinking, did I upset them? Is there something wrong with me? Did I not get it true right? He's bad. I don't like that person. And you get frustrated and you get upset and you can get angry and you don't want to talk to the person anymore. It can cause huge problems. I remember a relative of mine, okay, and his wife used to, talk and talk, and what he would do was terrible. He gave her the silent treatment. So no matter what she said, he didn't respond. Didn't respond. It drove her just crazy when that used to happen. But it was such bad manners. Such bad manners. What happens is this. B says to A, I like apples. A doesn't say anything. And what this does is it leaves it as an incompleted communication. So what happens is B gets stuck with this thing that he wanted to say, but it was never said. It wasn't finished. Yes, he said it, but it was never finished because person A didn't acknowledge it. So person B doesn't know if person A got the message, and so it sticks around. If he does it again and there's no acknowledgement, there's another one. If he does it again, there's another one. If he does it again, there's another one, another one, another one. And these incomplete communications pile up. They can trigger off things from the past. They generally cause a lot of upset and a lot of unnecessary distrust and unnecessary upsets. But the biggest thing is, it leaves this person with all these maybes. Did A get the communication? Did they get the communication? Did they? I don't know if they got the communication or not. I just don't know. I'm sure you can all think of, and you can add an example if you want. You can think of somebody in your life who never acknowledged or who rarely acknowledged you. If you can think of somebody like that, who you used to say things to them, but they never acknowledged you. I remember I was in college and I had a flatmate, and he would be talking to me about blah-de, 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 blah. And I'd be like, okay, I understand, and so forth. But then when I said something back, nothing. Didn't acknowledge it. Didn't even pretend to hear it. And it was just so frustrating. I went, okay, this person, not for me. Good luck. Okay, Paul, I think they don't care. Exactly. I struggle at what to say or answer. Okay, Anushka. Okay. Thank you, Georgia. The point is, if you don't acknowledge a person when they say something, you will leave that person with a whole bunch of maybes. And you leave that person with a whole bunch of incomplete communications, and they build up, they stack up. The solution to that is, number one, obviously, be there. Number two, when the person communicates to you, you're in a conversation or whatever, when the person communicates to you, I like apples. Your acknowledgement can be anything as long as it's appropriate and as long as it arrives. So if the person says, I like apples, your answer could be, they're delicious. There. A simple acknowledgement. And the person will be satisfied and he can let that communication go. He doesn't have to repeat it. If you didn't say that, he might feel like repeating it again and again and again. So your acknowledgement has to be appropriate, and it has to arrive on the other end. You got to make sure that that person receives your acknowledgement. Now, I know this isn't about how to stand on stage and do a presentation and be very popular, but it's the rock bottom basics that help you to get in control of communication. Just like driving a car, you know, if you're driving a car, you need to be able to start it, you need to be able to change position, and you need to be able to stop it. The same with communication. You need to be able to start it, continue it, and you need to be able to stop the communication. And this is how you stop it in a nice way. You acknowledge the person. Acknowledge. And this is the problem. If you ever know somebody who's a real talker, they talk and they keep talking and they keep talking and they keep talking. It's because, and sometimes it happens to me on webinars, you just keep talking and talking and talking. And it's why I like interaction, because I need to get the acknowledgements to stop me talking. So I know people are actually getting what I'm saying. So we'll do a couple of exercises. So here we go. We're going to practice this. Now, I made up some statements, and I'm going to ask you to participate. And here are my statements. I want you to come up. I'm going to start it off really simple. I've just got 3 statements. I'm going to start it off really simple. What I want you to do is listen to what I have to say and put your acknowledgement in the chat. All I want to know is I have heard your communication. All I want to know is that you have heard what I just said. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. Just you've heard what I said. Here we go. Ready? I'm presuming you are. Here's the first statement. The question. Do you like ice cream? Mm-hmm. Great. Let me just have a look at some of these. I got all your answers, right? And I actually felt like you got what I said. Okay? Georgia, you were quick off the mark. Yep. Anna, I love ice cream. Paula, no. Fine. You see? You don't like ice cream. Good. Perfect. Yun Yang, yes I do. Karen, yes I do. Doreen, yes. Raquel, yes. Tatevik, sure. Anushka, yes. It's so tasty. Karen, scream. It is delicious. Okay, good. Thank you. I feel listened to. Okay, simple one. Next one. Ready? I'm going to make it slightly more complicated. It's not very complicated. I like ice cream. Pop your answer into the chat. I like ice cream. It's just an appropriate acknowledgement. That's what I'm looking for. Pop your answer in. Okay. Now, okay. Oh, pause for a second. Pause. Okay, I want to clarify something here, right? Pause. I want to clarify something. An acknowledgement is a stop. It stops the communication. Bang. It's not to generate another conversation. It's just to let the person know that that one sentence, you got it. Okay? Now, continue. My statement was, I like ice cream. Okay, I'm going to go reverse here because I find the last one very nice. Leila, good for you. I love that. Thank you. Georgia, good for you. Paula, good. I don't. Beautiful. Fantastic. Georgia, okay, good. Anushka, I also like the same. Doreen, so do I. Wonderful. Karen, me too. Beautiful. Folks, these are perfect acknowledgements. Georgia, what's your favorite color? Flavor. Now, that one seems like an acknowledgement, but it's not really a stop. What it does is it gets the person to just continue. All you want to do is let them know, got it. Okay? And the same with yourself, Anya. I like it too. That would have been sufficient. And actually it is. I like it too. Good. And then you're originating a new communication, which is what's your favorite flavor. Perfect. Raquel, that's great. Beautiful. And Yun, me too. Beautiful. Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to get slightly more complicated. Great. Okay, Georgia, got that. Yun, I'm glad you like it because I like it too. Fantastic. Beautiful acknowledgements. Folks, I like you much more. I even like you all even more now because of your wonderful, suitable acknowledgements. Okay? And that's all you got to do. An acknowledgement. Let the person know, I have heard your communication. Now, next one. Paula, I think Irish people would keep the conversation going, though. Yes, Irish people are very, very chatty. But you know something? One of the reasons it keeps going on and on and on and on and on is often the acknowledgements are left out of the conversation. I'm not saying in every single case, but in many cases, just left on. The person keeps going on about it, keeps going on about it, keeps going on about it, because they're never acknowledged. They're never told, Joe, I got that you loved that football match yesterday. Brilliant. It was a great match. Bang. And then they'll go, okay, I feel fine on that. But you are right, Paula. We love to chat. Okay, so here's the next one. A little bit more complicated. Now, this is actually a statement about my own life, so I shouldn't have had to write it down, but I did. Some time back, I took in a stray cat. I thought it was our missing cat, but I didn't know she was pregnant, and now we have 6 cats in the house. Over to you. Some time ago, I took in a stray cat that I thought was ours, didn't know she was pregnant, and now we have 6 cats in the house. Hit me. Hit me with it. Good acknowledgement, Georgia. Beautiful. I love it. Oh, great. Now, those acknowledgements are fantastic. And if anybody's still typing, please go ahead and continue to typing. But they're absolutely great. And for some reason, I've lost it on my screen here. For some reason, Zoom clicked out on my screen. So just bear with me for a second. I'm waiting for it to load back up again. But as I was reading them down, I noticed some really, really nice communications. Right. So I'm waiting for them to connect up. Okay. All of your ones that I did read, and I read most of them, were absolutely perfect. My Zoom is kind of, whatever, it's doing the circular wheel of death here. And so, there it seems I've got it back again. Seems to be. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I got it. Let's see. Good for you. Thank you, Georgia. Let's see. Anushka, how do you take care of them? Good. Now, if that's a statement, that's fine. But if it's a question, it's not really an acknowledgement. It doesn't stop the communication, okay? It doesn't let the person know, I got it. How do you take care of them? It just generates a new question. All I want you to do is acknowledge, and that's it. Thank you. So if you had stated, how do you take care of them? Okay, that would be a nice acknowledgement. Georgia, good for you. Love it. Anaya, oh no, that is crazy. You should give them to a shelter or post them on the media. Good, that's fine. You could even have left it at the first part, Anaya. Oh no, that's crazy. Raquel, oh my, beautiful, simple. Doreen, oh my gee, that's funny. Beautiful, love it. Paula, whoa, that's a lot. Might need to call a rescue. Yes, good, Paula, love it. Yes. Oh, it's interesting, but I'm allergic to the cat. Sorry. Okay, Karen, very good. Georgia, and I remember that from a previous webinar. That's a nice acknowledgement. Thank you. Okay, folks, so the point is, if you put acknowledgements into your communication, you're going to make the other person happier, more satisfied that their communication is coming across. And it is going to make a massive difference in your life. All we're talking about is getting in control of communication. When you do that, it is going to start to fix these issues that you have about choosing the right words, fear and anxiety, confidence, insecurity, nervousness, and overthinking and getting distracted. All these kind of things get fixed up when you know the basics of being there. Some things on Zoom. Am I still there? Can you still see me, everybody? Okay, maybe you can. I'm after picking up there. Lovely. Okay, I just couldn't see you on my end, but that's my laptop. Summary. Be there. And you can practice that. And I'll show you the materials that you get to practice that. And number 2, put appropriate acknowledgements into your sentences when you're listening to somebody. Just act them and make sure they get the acknowledgement. Make sure they've heard it, because you're going to make a lot of friends. The power of an acknowledgement is not to be understated. You're going to make a lot of friends. You're going to make a lot of people happy. You're going to, even if they don't realize it, you're going to make a lot of people feel very satisfied with life just by getting acknowledgement. The opposite of it is the person who does the silent treatment. That's the complete opposite. Now, one last thing I want to mention to you. A lot of you gave me all these things about lack of confidence and overthinking and stress and using the right words and so forth. These problems can affect you in all sorts of areas in your life, as you know, like relationships and family and work and so forth. It's really, really important to grab that bull by the horns fast and actually handle it. Because if you don't, the problems just persist and they get worse. Like if let's say you are nervous and anxious now and you're overthinking and you don't do something about it, what's it going to be like in 5 years' time or 10 years' time? You don't change it now. I'm telling you, if you change it now and you work on it now, your life is going to be completely different. It's going to be so much better. Okay, so what I want to do before we wrap up, I'm just going to show you the materials that I would recommend for you if you're interested in taking this further to develop yourself, is an education point and an online course. Okay, so I want to show you those right now. This is the first book I'm going to recommend to you. It's called A New Slant on Life. And here is the image that's going to come up on your screen now. A New Slant on Life. Okay? So it's basically written by this gentleman, Aaron Hubbard. Slant means basically an angle, a way of looking at life. And that's what it is. So there's a couple of things I brought up. The 12 personality traits that make someone your friend or enemy. The real cause of conflicts. 2 rules for happy living. I wrote down a few other things. How to increase your confidence in decision making, how to improve your success at work, how to improve your skills in your marriage with your kids, and how to deal with people who put you down. So there's loads and loads of information in this book. How to improve relationships with people and how to use communication is in this book. Absolutely vital data. Now, if you get this book tonight, I'm going to put this book in for free. This is the communication booklet. This is coming free if you get this before 9:30 tonight, and it's only to encourage you to get going and get yourself educated. This particular booklet has, it's 90% practical. It gives you the basics of communication. There's loads of pictures in it. It shows you how to do every single exercise. You drill it with a friend or a family member, and you keep doing them until you are perfect. If you haven't got somebody to work with, just contact us and we'll help you to set it up. At the back of this book, there are practical exercises that you can do, okay, to help you with observation and use of this booklet. And there's also a free online course that goes with this booklet. So basically what you do is you read a chapter, you send in the answers to the questions, and then there'll be somebody on the internet who will correct them for you to make sure that you have everything 100% so that you can apply the information correctly. As I mentioned, you do each exercise until you're perfect, then you move on to the next one. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. If it takes you 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it doesn't matter. Because the longer you spend building the base, okay, everything else is going to get much smoother after that. And this shows you how to build those bases. And then in this exercise, there must be about like 8 or 9 practical exercises and skills that you develop with this. There's more that you can learn on advanced communication courses, but it gives you the 8 basic skills that you need to learn in order to get your fundamentals in. Okay, so if you get that book and this book tonight, this book is free. It's sent to you for free shipping, and we're here to help. Okay, folks, so I hope you enjoyed this webinar so far. I just want to leave the floor open for anybody who's any questions, and then we will wrap up. It has been, it's 9 o'clock now, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I want to just ask you, for example, all of you gave me your bits and your questions and about the things that are affecting you. Did I answer your questions? Do you have any further questions on it? Is there anything specific that you'd like to ask me? Because I can't cover everything in what I went over tonight, but I'd like to just, if there's any particular questions that you have, I'd be very, very happy to deliver them. And again, this was the very first thing that I did in 1992 when I started this subject. And the skills that I learned have not left me since. And it is just vital to learn basics, and so that you don't have to pretend like you're a communicator, because these are natural things that you can do anyway, but you're reminding yourself, you've just forgotten how to do it, and it's reminding you how to do it, because you have the inherent basic skill to communicate. Right, folks, I don't particularly see any questions coming in as yet. Doreen, there was. Can you send this over afterwards, please? Okay, so Eric has sent in the link. And so this is, if you click on the link, it brings you to the offer. If you get them before 9:30 tonight, the booklet is sent out to you for free, and it's free shipping. And as I mentioned, if you are not particularly a book reader, I mean, the information on these books is really, really, really easy to understand. Okay, very, very easy material to read. But if you need help on it, or if you have questions on it, or if you want to follow up on it, or if you need somebody to work with, just send us an email, get in touch with us, and we'll help you to do that. So if you're living in Dublin, perfect, we can sort you out. But if you're not, as many of you are all over the world, doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're Brazil, the US of A, Zurich, anywhere, the UK, don't worry. We have places all over the world where you can go in, you can do communication courses and all sorts of things that can actually help you. Okay, very good. So let me just wrap up the comments. Georgia, you are very, very welcome. I'm happy to have you here, and I really appreciate your time. Paula, glad you liked it. Thank you, Paula. Raquel, I'm glad it's been of help. Thank you, Raquel. Anaya, beautiful. I like to help. Doreen, do you have a social media page? I think Eric has just sent it. Facebook, Your Full Potential. Thank you, Eric. Raquel, what's the email? The email, Eric's ahead of me. Okay. I just leave Eric to answer all the questions. What's your email? So Eric is just giving you the email, info@yourfullpotential.shop. That's the email address. Karen, thank you so much for supporting us. Webinar is very good. I'm delighted, Karen. Thank you. It was a very simple webinar, but basics that you can start to apply immediately and start to work on. And I hope you do. Yun, my pleasure, Yun. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you come again. Doreen, you're very welcome. Raquel, you're welcome. Anushka, can you send me the PDF version? Good question. I don't know about the PDF version, or even if there is one. Be handy if it was. Anyway, it's nice to hold something in your hand and read it. But yeah, I know PDFs are nice. I don't know about that, Anushka. I think it's probably best if you just get the booklet. As Dita mentioned, I don't think there is one. Yeah, I think it's only in booklet form. Right, folks, we're at 6 minutes past 9. The chat is going to stay open there for a few more minutes. If anybody wants to get the books, please do feel free to get them. Thank you all so much for sticking with me until the end. Thank you for everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram for watching this webinar tonight. I hope it was of help to you. Take care, Raquel. Bye for now. I was just going to say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, Yun, Karen, Anushka, Paula, Vivian, Georgia, Raquel, Doreen, and Doreen again. And also thank you very much, Eric, for hosting. Happy Halloween, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.